This is the Run Recap.
There we go. Okay. So I did the long slow yesterday.
Yeah, you went for a run.
Yeah, I did the hour, trying to go less than 140, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't think what?
So, less than 140. What distance did you do?
Oh, so I did an hour. So I ended up going. How far did I go? I went about 6 miles.
Okay.
And I'll give you the short version first, then we can dive into it. But I went about 6 miles, and so the goal is an hour plus around 140 heart rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole time. That's the goal. So nice and slow. And so I started off, or you wouldn't think that you could fail this. I totally failed.
You're in the wrong state of mind, it can. So what failed for you, though? What happened?
The heart rate completely failed. And so I have some theories on why, but like I started off
in which direction?
Way too high.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, very surprised. So I started off at what was it? 140s. And it was a struggle to stay at 140s. Like I was like 145 for the first mile.
Sure.
And then popped up to 150s second mile, and then the rest of the run maintained like 160s.
That's funny, because your pace, you did 6 miles an hour, you go an 8-minute a mile?
No. I would like 9:30.
And the heart rate wouldn't stay down for you?
Barely moving.
That's funny, because if you were running not twice as fast, but like,
yeah,
if you ran that whole thing at 7:30 pace, your heart rate probably would have done the exact same thing.
Right. Man. So that's what's interesting. I didn't break a sweat until mile 2, and even then it was like I like wiped my head. It's like a tiny bit of sweat buildup, and that was it. Like It was nothing the rest of the run. It was freezing. It was really cold. So I'm trying to figure out why it was so high for so long, or for all of it. And so the only thing I can think of is I did an actual workout right before. Like Brian and I did, just a full body strength workout, like 3 different circuits, 4 rounds of each circuit. And so it took like an hour-ish or so. And so the only thing I can think of is that my heart rate is already elevated by it. And so it just wouldn't go down, or maybe it was combating the cold. I didn't have warm clothes, so I was just out there in shorts and a t-shirt, and like it was like 42 or something.
And it could be it, man. Maybe your body just wanted to move the blood more.
Maybe. It was so frustrating though. I was trying so hard to go slow.
Did you feel like you could talk the whole time?
Oh yeah, I wasn't breathing hard.
Okay, so you're still you was calm, just a higher heart rate.
If I wasn't in the cold weather, I have a hard time doing nose breathing, and I usually don't nose breathe anyway when I run. But in cold weather, I especially can't, just because my nose is running and it just doesn't work. And I did. What was I saying? Oh, so I wasn't doing any nose breathing, but I could have. Like if my nose pathways were clear, it would have been fine. Like I wasn't breathing hard. I was focusing very much on just going slow, intentionally taking a lot of time. Like I wasn't in a hurry. It was totally fine.
Yeah.
And so it was just, so then on the way back, the last half mile, I'm like, all right, well, I've already failed this whole thing. My heart rate's been in the 60s the whole time, the 160s. And so I'm like, let's just up my speed. Not sprint, but let's just go faster at a comfortable pace.
Sure.
And I got down to like 8:30, 8:15 right there. And my heart rate dropped to 152.
Yeah, right? That's funny.
So either it was happening that way just because of, like I said, all the environmental issues, or I was my watch wasn't accurate, which is what I thought at first. I thought my watch just is not being accurate, so I need to redo it with a chest strap and see what that is. And that still could be the case, but
it would be fun to find out the difference there and see how much difference there is. How accurate is your watch? I know my watch is very inaccurate in most things. So like for
Mm-hmm.
instance, I had a recording snowboarding yesterday and I went 78 miles per hour. I did not go 78 miles per hour yesterday. There's no way I
Yeah.
went over, you know, there's no way I was in the 40s yesterday. Like that was just
Right.
not, I wasn't trying to go fast. None of that was happening. And even if I tried to go fast, 50 is pretty darn quick. And I
Yeah.
might get up to 78's not real. That's not a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so it's terribly inaccurate as far as that goes. But heart rate seems dead on. So because I kind of know
Yeah.
what my heart's doing, and I'm pretty intuitive about it, and I've tested with lots of other things. And like I know when I'm hitting, I know when I'm 160, I know when I'm 170, I know when I'm 180, and I can also tell. Yeah, and then with the 140s, I can also tell. Like that's relax, and my watch tells me exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine seems to be pretty good most of the time, but like I get situations like this where I'm just not. Don't trust it because it was so easy. It wasn't hard. It was
Hmm.
so frustratingly boring. It was just you're barely moving, and there's nothing there's nothing fun about it.
Yeah.
It was just it felt like such a time suck. And then on top of that, my heart rate was supposedly really high the whole time, and so
Sure.
it
Right.
was just
Now,
so frustrating.
I want to encourage you that yes, it took a lot of time, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not a time set like that. Like a recovery running run is so helpful for so many other things that
Oh yeah,
super good for you, good for your
mhm.
brain, good for your body. Just get out and move without
Yeah,
stressing it too hard, and it's
yeah,
all such a good thing for you.
yeah.
But it can feel like, oh, I might as well watch TV during that time instead.
No, it was when I say it's a time suck, I mean just I'm down for that style of run. It was just it was just too long.
Yeah.
Like the hour felt like too much for what. Well, actually, no. Legitimately, the hour was too much. The distance was too much then for what I've been doing. So like I'm pretty hurting today. Not
Yeah. Right.
sore. Like my ligaments hurt. Like my left. The ligaments behind my left knee are all like real inflamed and irritated.
It's so
And, like
funny how
I'm
much
kind
that
of
can
limping.
happen. Like,
Hmm.
depending on, it doesn't matter how good a shape you're in, you go do something different and it just,
Yeah. Yeah.
even
Exactly.
even mellow, like it just is different.
Hmm. And it was what was really frustrating during the run is at like 4-ish miles, it was feeling really, really uncomfortable. You know, when you're in a car and you can't straighten your leg for a really
Yeah.
long time or something like that, it felt that type of uncomfortable because I wasn't cycling. Like my
Mm-hmm.
legs wanted to go to a full cycle and that
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't at that speed. And so it was weirdly uncomfortable. It was a really strange experience.
There's an amount of slow that I do think that I've experienced my body taking more of a beating at certain paces slower than they would if I was going faster and actually using more, yeah, no, not no more energy, but taking more of a beating. And so I do
Hmm.
know if I'm running 9-minute miles or slower, I can run way more efficiently at around an 8-minute pace, or at least an 8:30 pace. But if I'm below nines, then I notice that my joints hurt really bad. They just take such a beating.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's the outside of what I typically do,
Hmm.
um, to that made it so difficult. I think ordinarily it's not bad, and I think it's probably a good thing for me to do periodically. But it's just so, it was just too far and too long for
For
what my
sure.
body is used to. Right. It doesn't help that I did a very isolated hamstring exercise at the end of my
Right.
workout that haven't done in a really long time. So I'm sure that added to it. But
And then I assume you were on pavement most of it too.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that adds to it a bit as well. That can be tough.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it was good. It was definitely something I can see that I should be doing. It would be helpful for me to do periodically, maybe not quite that far. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
there's no training you're doing where that's effective to get you to any of your goals
yeah,
to
no,
go that far and slow.
yeah, but it's a good contrast for what I do. It's a good
Hmm.
contrast to, if I'm doing a lot of fast work and short work, I should do some long and slow periodically. It's just not what yeah, it's just not in my normal, yeah, my normal of what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So the interesting thing about what you experienced there, to me, that is something we've been talking about with some of my friends and stuff too, with recently, is we have these things that we can isolate. Like this one, we're isolating heart rate, for instance.
Hmm.
We're saying, okay, we're gonna do heart rate at this one. This is what we're gonna do. That's the objective. But the bigger objective here is to do a relaxing recovery rate run. And what your heart decides to do during that is not, it's too complex of a system, just like you're already saying, right? Like, is it trying
Yeah.
just to warm your body? Is it, but obviously you could talk the whole time, so you
Oh
were in
yeah.
that recovery space. Does it need to be 140? If it's 155, are you personally still technically in recovery for that run? And it sounds like you were, even though the
Yeah.
math says otherwise. You might go out on a 70-degree day, do the exact same run, and you might be under 140,
Yeah.
just because a lot of other factors go into it. But we were talking about the calorie burners, that the things that
Hmm.
calculate how many calories you're burning, right? And like, there's no way, I've watched those things. There's no way they're accurate. There are too many other factors to know how many calories you're burning than just saying this much, heart rate at this much
Hmm.
working out, you burn. Well, my body may do a lot more, might do a lot less, depending on how I'm trained. I might be trained to conserve way more than that. I might be trained to burn a whole lot more than that. And the type of
Hmm.
calories, I mean, there's just so many other things where, yeah, it's a good guideline. Same with the heart rate, good guideline.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you weren't in recovery the whole time at 150, even though the books say you should be 140.
Yeah, well, and so with the calories specifically, the calorie tracking situations, I found that it's not about how accurate it is, it's about how consistent it is, how accurate it is within the device. So across multiple devices, I've found some consistency with a very specific run. Like there's a run I do from my house to Discovery Park, and then there's a stair set, and then I run back. It's like
Hmm.
mileage is not that much, but it's a lot of varying terrain and varying types of movement because the run there, my speed is going to vary from like 6:30 to 7:30, and then the stairs are sprints, right? So they're
Right.
repeats, and so obviously
Hmm.
it's a different type of heart rate. And so I've done
Hmm.
that run with a lot of different devices, and I've found the consistency between them. So like that type of output, if I do a certain amount of stair sets, gets me like it's a lot. It's like 1,500 to 2,000 calories, which is a
Sure.
lot for a workout. And
Yeah.
but it's not that's not I don't use that as like, oh, I burned for sure 2,000 calories during this exertion. It's like
Right.
if I care about calories, that's just it's a good consistency. Like this long, it says this, that's high,
Yeah. Am I
right?
burning? It would definitely help to know if you're burning more or less, but how many
Yeah.
specific calories that your body burned during that time.
Yeah, and
That's
that's all
so
that
much more complicated than that.
well, and that's all I really take away from it is
Yeah.
just is it consistent? Was I burning a lot more for some reason? Did it show
Right.
up more or less, or a good gauge of like if that's a 2,000, I went out for a half mile run or not half mile, half an hour run, and it says I burned 1,500. Like, oh well, that's wrong.
Right.
Comparatively,
Sure.
but yeah, that's the kind of thing where I look at for curiosity, but I don't it doesn't affect anything for me. Like
Yeah.
I
You can
put no
take those
stock on
things.
it at all.
Yeah, those things are great as again, guidelines for how intense you were. But if you were actually saying,
Yeah.
okay, I ate this food today, there's this many
Oh
calories,
yeah.
then I'm burning this much. Like, well, you have no way of knowing that. You don't know how, you might know personally with your body, but there's no way these
Hmm.
systems know that this type of food is processed this way in your body by this type of exercise. Because I know from my personal experience, depending on the type of exercise I'm doing, my body is much more ready to burn a lot more sometimes with not that intense, but I've just trained my body to burn tons at
Yeah.
different points. And I've had other points where my body is not burning very much. So I can,
Right.
where it's just being much more efficient with the calorie usage. And depends
Yeah.
what type of training I'm doing around as far as how it's going to react to that, because I can physically see the difference where it's like, oh, I'm going through a phase right now where I can't keep enough food in me, period. Because I'm just burning always tons.
Yeah.
And I've had the opposite effect too, where it's like, okay, I'm working out pretty good, and my body's hanging on to everything I eat.
Yeah. Yeah, your metabolism right now is just on overdrive for some reason. But that goes back to like I'd be really curious to see what your basal metabolic rate is, because that's the amount of calories your body burns at rest. So it's like
Sure.
the has nothing to do with exertion or exercise after. It's just you need X amount of calories to live based on a lot of different factors, and height and age and weight and
Hmm.
muscle mass and body fat content. And have you ever done a test like that? Like, do you guys have an body composition
Yeah, I
test?
have done that. I don't remember anything that it said.
Yeah, I don't. I think if I recall right, the one you guys have at your gym doesn't have that data because
It might not.
a cheaper model. But yeah, sometime I'll bring ours over,
Hmm.
or you come in here and we can actually check and see what your basal metabolic rate is. 'Cause that's always just curious, because it's so dictated by how much muscle you have
Hmm.
that it's you need this many calories just to live. After a certain
Right.
point of time of eating less than that amount, like you'll die. It's just a matter of time. Like you'll be, anorexic and then
And
lose everything.
anytime I add in, if I ever get consistent with just cross training, not even a strength, just different. If I'm doing running and then I do another thing also that's not
Hmm.
running or not
Yeah.
cardio,
Yeah.
and if as soon as I add those two things in, yeah, then I can't keep enough food in me. Like it's just,
Yeah.
my
You have a
metabolism takes off when I put those two things together. But if I'm doing just one or the other, it's not necessarily true. I can just
yeah.
run and my body will try and hang on to stuff, or I can just lift and I just get bulky, and but I mix the two and things just then all of a sudden I get skinny and light real
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, you always have had such a very interesting metabolism, because mine isn't like I have a good metabolism, but it's not like that. It's not like where I can just eat whatever at certain points and it just like fuels me and that's it. Like it goes so
Right.
quickly to reserves for me. Um
I
so
firmly believe eating lots and lots of cheeseburgers is the key to having a really good metabolism, because that's what I've observed.
fair. Okay. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
I
no,
think
no one
most nutritionists would agree with me on that one.
yeah, no one should actually take that advice.
No one should probably take any of our advice. We are having
Depends.
interesting observational conversations. None of
Yeah,
this is meant to be advice.
that's fair. Did you do a slow one last week or this week?
No, I did get well, I did do some slow running, but I was gonna get my long run in probably today, but I got pretty sick yesterday. And then
Oh yeah,
yeah, and so I'm definitely not gonna run today. Well,
yeah,
I might run today. We'll see. I keep getting yeah, so man, it's one of those stupid sicknesses where I'm like, I'm not in rough shape necessarily. I just can't do much, like
yeah,
I'm going and doing stuff and like I feel pretty okay. I'm not bad enough I should be laying down, but at the same
yeah,
time, like I do a little bit and like, okay, I don't want to do anything anymore.
yeah.
And then get through it again and so anyway, I snowboarded yesterday. It was wonderful. Like best day
Yeah.
of the year by a long
Nice.
ways. And it was like I got there, first hour was like, I probably shouldn't have come up. I need to go back home. Then the sun came out and I felt wonderful until around 1 in the afternoon. I'm like, I think I need to go home now again.
Oh no.
So, so anyway, so I was gonna get running, but I did get yeah, so I have been doing though slow runs and yeah, mostly. Okay, so actually so my plan is on Monday I need to do um a recovery rate 3 miles. So super
Okay.
easy 3 miles. So
Hmm.
like our slow run, but short. And so
Yeah.
get that in where you're just going out and doing it. You're running out like at a, scale 1 to 10, running at 3, so get
Hmm.
that in. Then Tuesday is tempo run. So I'm supposed to run that at 7:45 pace. So right at my half marathon pace and
Yeah.
3.5 miles. So because I'm still early in the plan, we're not doing that much mileage yet. So I did that, but my 3.5 I had to do on a treadmill because that's just how my timing worked out and everything. So I'm on
Luckily,
a
it's only
treadmill.
3.5.
Yeah, right.
Oh
So
man.
but I set it to 3.5 because this is what I did. Oh, we talked about it, but I did it last time too, and it's just miserable because it's
Yeah.
on a treadmill
Yeah.
and you're just and 7:45 pace on a treadmill is um just feels so slow.
It's
And
a
then on
tough
top of
pace.
that, it's still hard because I'm in the gym, and so there's no airflow or anything like that too. So I'm roasting.
Mm,
So it's hard to keep going, but also it's too easy. So it's hitting both, and it's
yeah.
just irritating. So anyway, so I took off, and I was like an eighth of a mile in. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not going this slow. And so I
Yeah.
bumped it to like 7:30, then to 7:15. And I'm like, okay, this is starting to feel okay. Nah, still feels slow. So then got to the second mile and I went to like 6:30 pace. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, now it feels good. I feel real comfortable. And then got to the third mile, I'm like, I can go quicker. So third mile, dropped it down to six flat, made it about 100 meters and had to stop. And like was just done. Completely done. So I didn't even get to my 3.5 mile. I failed every part of it where it wasn't a tempo because I was doing negative splits because I was just irritated by the pace, and then
Right.
yeah, and then didn't even get in my mileage. Like none of that worked to what I was supposed to do. It didn't accomplish the objective I'm trying to do. Didn't do what my body needed for that. Like nothing worked. And I keep feeling as I'm getting back into consistent running, I keep getting bursts of feeling fast
Hmm.
and having a little bit of an aggressive feeling with my running, like, oh, I want to go. I want to just, go
Yeah.
kill it. And it's been above freezing, so that's also, helps too. Your legs actually feel a little bit limber and stuff.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm in that shape, but I'm just not. So then it's like, okay, yeah, I can run six flat. No, you can't. Not even
Yeah.
close. Like, no, 7:45 was gonna hurt by the end of 3 miles actually.
Yeah.
But I keep feeling this energy and feeling smooth and fast and everything. And so I did the same thing at Run Club where I was running with Kat and we were both feeling like kind of the same thing. Like, let's go move
Hmm.
today. So we took off and
Yeah.
yeah. And then again, like, okay, no, this 8 minute pace is actually feeling a little bit hard right now. I need to be a little more realistic here.
Have you ever had a time where running on the treadmill is like we won't go as far as say enjoyable, but like doable, where it's not like just agony?
Yeah. 2 years ago, I did it real consistently and I started to like
Hmm.
it,
Yeah.
and I even did, geez, I put in 9 miles on one once. And it was a long time, but I was into a TV show and I just watched
Hmm.
TV and just enjoyed just sitting there. And the
Yeah.
repetition and the consistency felt really good
Yeah.
back then. It's been a couple years. Since then, it's been torture to be on
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
I
I
liked that. And then, or setting it at a time even faster than that. And you're just going to, like I think I did a 19-minute 3 mile on one a couple years ago also. And same thing. It was fun to like set the time and like, okay, hold this and you get to hit that goal you're shooting for.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I enjoyed that for a while, and I don't know what I don't know why it's so miserable, right? Like
Hmm.
it's worse than usual right now for me. I don't know what my deal is, but it's really hard.
No, I had the same thing. I had a couple, yes, like 5 years ago where it was a multi-year span, maybe like 2 years, where it was almost fun. And I don't know
Yeah.
why I got into that habit. I think I was doing some like mile interval training mixed with some fast stuff, and so it was just that stuff's easier to do on the treadmill, especially like
Mhm.
with what I do working at a gym. Sometimes it as much as I want to go for a run, the treadmill's there. I need to answer the
Right.
phone, so you just hop on the treadmill. But it was enjoyable, and I was getting fast times, and it
Mhm.
was it was great. And since then, it's been terrible. Like it's like pulling teeth to run on a treadmill, even when like that's all I have to do. Like I don't have the
Mhm.
time to go out. I need to be here to be stationary, but I need to run. And so I have to hop on a treadmill. And it's just you start, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't do it. Like
Yeah.
it's such
Yeah. And
terrible.
what is that difference? Well, it's probably like, uh, humans given enough time can get used to anything.
Hmm.
Right? So it doesn't matter what I mean, you think back through different parts of your life too, where you've gone through something like, wow, that became normal for me. That's weird,
Yeah. Right.
And I think it is a little bit of that is something that seems like torture. You do it enough, and your body's like, oh, this is just who we are and what we do now.
Yeah.
No different than what we feel when we do tons and tons of 800s, or
Hmm.
we did the quarter mile ones, or
Oh yeah.
we do
Yeah.
25 quarter miles. Pretty soon you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I run quarter miles.
Yeah.
It's all I do. That's what my body does because you just got used to it, and now it's accepted it that this
Yeah.
is now normal. And I
Yeah.
think that anything can be like that. The treadmill can become like
Totally.
that. with the right view on it and with enough consistency. And so we were
Hmm.
probably both of us probably were just on the treadmill really consistently.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what it was. At that time too, I had a routine fairly consistently that I would do at least a couple times a week. That was it was 5 miles, and it was mile, like I said, it was mile intervals. But I would start really slow, so I would go to I wouldn't run the full mile. I would run to 90. So
Hmm.
the last tenth of a mile, I would rest every mile.
Okay,
But
sure.
every mile, I would speed up. So I would start at like, I think I would start at 7 miles an hour. And I don't remember what miles an hour, what the math is to
I know. I have to
minute
look it up
miles.
every time.
But miles per hour, I would go start at 7, and then I would just go up 1 every mile, or
Hmm.
roughly. So I would go 7, 8, 9, and then once I hit my 5th mile, I was trying to PR every time.
Hmm.
So I would be looking at the time. So like, okay, I'm trying to get sub 5:30 or sub whatever it was at that time,
Sure.
and that was obviously the whole mile for that last one. And looking forward to that last one, it would just made it super fun. Like I had 4 to
Hmm.
prep, 4 to get fast, 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 and the last one, it was just everything I had left. Like whatever you got,
Yeah.
and let's just see if I can do it. You know?
And that can be so fun on the treadmill too. When your leg
Yeah,
speed's really going and you're in
yeah,
the shape where it feels confident, that can be
yeah.
that can be a lot of fun. Okay, so got to tell you something that grinds my gears though
Hold on.
about
Before you get
okay,
that treadmill
okay.
question again for you, I can't run on a flat treadmill anymore.
I still
Can't.
have not done one like yours.
No, 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 no. Sorry, not a. I'm talking regular treadmill. So regular
Oh, okay.
motor treadmill, not on like a free runner or something. But
Okay.
motorized treadmill, I can't run on it flat. It has to be incline. It has to
Okay.
be a 4.
You
It
know,
feels so terrible running on a flat treadmill.
what I love though is so I'll run it flat, but I
Hmm.
do love the relief of getting rid of a climb. So you get
Mm,
your body super used to like I do my warm up at an uphill, and then I get some pace in at an uphill, and
yeah,
you're sitting maybe even a 7, but at the most up above that, and you're doing a series hill. Your body can't start to imagine that that's flat,
yeah,
and then pick up the speed, drop it to flat all at the same time, and all of a sudden you
yeah.
feel so fast.
I get that. My problem is my technique feels
Mm,
painful. Like because I automatically go to a pretty dramatic heel strike,
okay.
and it obviously you shouldn't do that, and
Hmm.
it doesn't feel good. And so if I can go midfoot or toe as long as I'm at a 4 or higher.
Okay.
But below a 4, I'm just like hitting not even midfoot. I'm just hitting heel hard.
Sure.
And I think because I'm trying to be quiet, maybe.
That could be, it is so noisy, especially when where the average person at the gym on the treadmill is
Hmm.
usually not going really fast.
They
And so
also have a dramatic heel strike.
yeah, so you have a lot of
Dramatic.
that going on, a lot of walkers and all that stuff. So I can be there and like all the treadmills are filled up, right? And like
Yeah.
so there's a ton of people using them. But if you're going 7-minute pace or faster, it is
Hmm.
really loud. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, am I just being obnoxious here? I don't
Yeah.
want to irritate everybody.
Right. Right.
That definitely happens. But I have been told though that running on a treadmill at least a 1-degree incline is more it more equates to running flat in real life.
Yeah, I have heard that too. Yeah.
I think it has to do with how because if it's flat, you almost don't really launch because there's no actually propelling happening. And I
Well,
think with an incline, you are adding a little bit of propelling motion.
yeah, it's possible. I argue that there's actually no propulsion on a treadmill at all.
Oh, and you definitely have any resistance. So
Yeah.
it is a different thing
I
for
don't.
sure.
If you look at people, you can almost tell if you're watching in a gym, you're watching people run on the treadmill. You can almost tell that they exclusively run on the treadmill because they will have no kick. They will have no extension through their hamstring or their glute. It'll be
Hmm.
all hips, feet are landing, heels landing directly underneath them. Shorter steps. They're not long steps. They're not like
Right.
cycling through at all. And you're like, oh, okay, you only run on a treadmill
Well, and
because
long steps can be uncomfortable because you feel like you're going to hit the front of the treadmill. Like it does
yeah.
change all the stuff around you changes your gait for sure
Hmm.
because there's such confinements there that
Yeah.
it definitely happens.
Yeah. Okay. What grinds your gears? I interrupted you.
Oh man, now I forgot what grinds my gears.
Oh no! Shoot.
Hang on, we'll get it back. Okay, treadmills. Oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. You
Okay.
know what grinds
Ready.
my gears about treadmills?
I'm ready.
I actually, first of all, I firmly believe that treadmills are not made by people that run at all, period.
Oh,
Have
interesting.
never run, and not a single manufacturer has a runner that works for them. And here's the reason why
Okay.
and I'd love to be proved wrong with this. First of all,
Yeah.
show me a runner that calculates any speed by miles per hour.
I
Not
know.
a single one. That is not even a conversation. Why are we all doing math every single time? No, everyone
Yep.
does minutes per mile.
Yep.
Every runner in the world does minutes per mile or kilometer if you're not in America, right?
Do you do the trick where you're at an 8 miles an hour and then you go up and down real quick so it shows you on the screen what it's adjusting to?
No.
'Cause
No, I don't do that.
Our treadmills, when you set it to like 8 miles an hour, it'll tell you when it's getting to the speed. Oh, this is a whatever 7-minute mile.
Okay.
And so if you do an adjustment, if you go down and up real quick, it'll tell you the adjustment, and then it'll
Gotcha.
like, so it won't
So
tell
mine-
you steering, but
On one of the treadmills that we have, I can skip to a different screen where it will show me that this pace is at this many mile per hour. So I can
Okay,
get there.
okay.
But why is it not on the up button? No one
know.
wants to know the miles per hour. That's not a relevant number for anything.
Yeah,
Like no one's using
It's
that
not.
for anything. And no one's going to ask you later, how fast did you run? You're like, oh, I did 10 miles at 10 miles an hour.
yeah.
No one, no one wants to know
Nobody-
that. No one's
nobody
talking about
wants
it.
to.
Okay. Then we even got like a more fancy one where you can
Okay.
go up hills, down hills. You can even program in like runs around the world and it'll adjust your up and downhill for that run. So super
Okay.
fancy thing, right?
Yeah.
And one of them, it'll show you a 400-meter track and it'll show you your progress around the track, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I like that because in my mind, I can imagine, oh, straightaway, corner, that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, I got like a corner straightaway left or whatever. And I just
Yep.
imagine myself on the track.
Yep.
It's fun. It's a fun game for me. It has you go around the track backwards. No one takes right-hand corners around the track.
Oh my
And it's showing on there going
God.
around the wrong direction on the track. So again, like this person does not run at all,
What?
right? Because that's just not a thing.
Oh my God, that doesn't make any sense. That's so weird.
Yeah, isn't that crazy that here's someone like clearly they don't run, right? Otherwise, why would that ever happen? Why would a graphic go backwards?
Gosh. No, yeah, you've never been on a track or seen even.
Have you
like-
watched track? Car racing, anything.
Yeah,
It's
I was
always
gonna say
left-hand
car-
turns.
Yeah, car racing turns to the left too. There's nothing
All
that turns to
tracks-
the right.
All oval tracks go the same direction. Every one of them. That's how racing works. And why would it not even? So that's where once that happened, at the first I was like, okay. The other one's like you're doing mile per hour, whatever. It's like, okay, that's irritating, but maybe that's just an easy way to do it. Then I saw the track backwards. I'm like, okay, nope, none of you.
No.
I don't care who makes them.
And-
None of you guys run.
And you can't. I cannot switch my brain around to that. There's certain things like I got the miles per hour thing. It's frustrating, but I adapted and I just based some of my runs off of that. I know that 9 miles an hour is roughly here. Okay, I'm at 9. I'll go
Right.
9.2, whatever, right? But I'm not going to adapt to going backwards on a track. It will feel
No.
wrong always.
The whole
So I
time
will-
watching the graphic, I'm like, we're going the wrong way. What are we doing? This doesn't work.
Oh my gosh. I had speaking of running on a track one direction, we sometimes in college would run the corners opposite just purely for balance sake.
Yeah.
But one of the worst times I messed up my hip was from doing sprints on a corner, and I hadn't been doing a lot of corner sprints in a while. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like in my late 20s, and Brian and I were getting into some good sprint workouts, and so we're doing I think some like 200s and 300s and stuff, and later that day it was like my left hip, so my inside hip, for people tracking which way you go around a track, it just tightened up so bad, and even now it still will tighten up every now and then if I go and do hard corners or something that's just leaning that direction. It's so frustrating.
Man, even talking about going, it'd be one thing to jog around a track the wrong direction. I can do that just fine.
Yeah.
But going fast, even quarter mile speed, at that kind of speed, I don't think I could turn right.
It's weird. Like I
I
said,
feel like I'd fall over.
yeah, we would do it in college, but it wouldn't be like, actual sprint workouts. It'd be like we would do our warm up and cool downs backwards, or,
Hmm.
if we're doing like a light percentage effort day, if it's like a 60% effort, then we
Right.
would do those maybe. But yeah, we're not doing our real like all out sprints or hard stuff backwards. That would be weird. And it did
Yeah.
feel a little strange. It felt kind of nice though. Cause like when you're doing that much track workouts, that many workouts, it kind of feels good to go the other direction every now and then.
Sure.
Just
Well,
it just feels
I
good
can't
evening
even
things
imagine
out.
like, you know how you look through the corner, right? So you're looking at the end of the corner.
Mhm.
You're not looking straight ahead. You go around,
Yeah.
you're looking to your left as you're going through the corner,
Mhm.
right? And you're coming around
Right.
there. Now, usually I'm looking at the finish line. About halfway through the corner, I'm looking at the finish line. So I'm just like looking
Mm.
around the corner and spotting through the whole thing. And I can't imagine looking over my right shoulder and
Yeah.
still be able to run.
I would never look that far away, that far out. I would always
Okay.
look like just 10 meters.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking around the corner, but I'm looking just a little ways ahead. I
Yeah.
don't know. And I don't know if that was conscious
I was
or
just
not.
always trying to look cool like looking through there where you got your head turned to the left, watching the time as you're coming around. Like you had to look like pre.
Well, you can do that when you're not running very fast.
You got a point there.
When you're sprinting, you can't. I'm not really looking at the finish line yet. I'm actually no. When I was sprinting, because I didn't do a ton of 200s. I did a lot of 400s, but regardless, I was never in the front. So usually, I'm looking at the people in front of me to catch.
Sure.
Especially because you always start staggered out, and I was usually like a lane 2 person. And so if it's a 200, everybody's in front of you. It's a 400, at least a few people are ahead of you if you haven't caught them by then.
Right.
And so you're just like, who's directly in front of you, and you're just trying to chase them down.
I always liked the confidence of I'm in that corner. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna look at the time now. I'm not even worried
Yeah.
about you guys. Now, naturally, I was also not winning necessarily or anything like that. But you still but you try and look like you're gonna.
Yeah. What's the shortest race you did in high school?
Oh, an 800.
Hey, that's what I thought. You
Yeah,
never did
so-
like a 400, like officially, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't even think even 800s. I did them. I think I only did 2 of them in high school. I really didn't like the race. It was too fast. But
I remember you
was
telling me one time that an 800 is frustrating because you go as fast as you can. You start, you go as fast as possible, and then the race is over.
yeah. I mean, literally, that is for me. An 800 was an all-out sprint. I
Yeah.
take off as fast as my body will move, and I got to hang on for dear life now for 2.5 minutes. You know.
What was your
And that's
fastest
it.
800 though? Because I thought you got under 2.
I got under 2. Well, so I'm having trouble believing my own memory. So my memory
really?
has me at 154. 154 is really fast, but that's what my memory says. But then a couple years later, I was watching like state track meets, and that would have won state. And my memory is running 154 in ninth grade, and I'm not sure that's real. But I did win a couple races in ninth grade, so
But you were
it might
you were also amongst like your year of track was really really high level, and so
Yeah.
it would have made sense that you might have run a 150 something, and
Yeah.
that didn't make it very far because it was just so stacked.
So I know for sure I ran in like the 204 range lots of times.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am very confident that I got under 2 at some point. And again, my
Yeah.
memory says 154, but I don't know. Again, I have trouble trusting my memory on that one. So
When I was
just
in
because
high
that does seem
school-
too fast.
Yeah, when I
I'd
was in
probably
high
put it more
school,
158 is probably more likely.
yeah, I think that's the number I remember you saying. When I was in high school, I remember we had a couple guys they didn't place in state, but they made it to state, and they were running, yeah, like around 2, maybe slightly under, maybe slightly over. And I remember you being frustrated because you're like, so I would have went to state, right? If I was running right now. And
Yeah, I
don't
remember
think they
guys
were-
doing like 204, 205 and
Yeah.
placing in state. And I was like, oh, geez, I for sure did that in junior high.
Yeah. And these guys
And
weren't
then,
qualifying. Like they weren't hitting qualifying marks. It was just that's the
Right.
that's how stacked the competition was, or how little it was stacked, right?
for sure, I remember that I could run an 800 faster than I could run a 400 at a faster pace.
Doesn't
Because I
make
don't think I've
sense.
ever broken 60 seconds. And I know that I've
R-
been under 2 minutes for the half mile or for the
For sure.
800. And I've never been under 60 seconds for a quarter. So that's just how long it takes me to get going.
I can relate to that though, because the 100 meters always felt too fast for me. The 200 was like you get around the corner, and I'm like, oh, good, I still have time. I
Yeah.
still have time to catch everybody because my start was always so slow. Uh,
And I never had the leg speed for the 800 to have any strategy with it. Like there was no
mhm.
kick. It was again just as fast as I can go, and that's it. So in the
Yeah,
first 100 meters, well, that's as fast as I'm going, and I'm
yeah,
just gonna hang on there, and that's what I'm doing. And so it's already like, well, it's already predetermined. If someone else has more of a kick than me, well, they're just gonna beat me. I
yeah,
can't. I can't ease up somewhere. I can't like save energy to go do this, or I can't like, keep something in my back pocket for later or anything. There's none of the strategies work.
yeah.
It's just as fast as you can go. And if I got boxed in the first 200 meters, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't have any kick past this. There is no
hmm
more speed. This is
Yeah.
all the speed.
Oh
And
man.
so that was always frustrating to where like, yeah, I was good at it, but I never felt like I had any extra to give.
Yeah.
Where, in a mile, I enjoyed the 2 mile the most just because you just got to play with it a little bit more. You got
Yeah.
to, pass people at a difficult time, or you can play the mental games with people and stuff. And I love that aspect of racing. And I could save a kick for what I had as of a kick,
hmm
in the 2 mile. And so anyway, so at least you got to have the strategy and the fun of it and
Yeah.
all that. But I wasn't near as good at it compared to
Yeah.
everybody else.
The 400 we would even talk about strategy, which is it's so funny because I imagine that strategy, like you just said, there's no strategy in the 800, barely
Yeah,
strategy in the mile, and the two
right.
miles were like you actually have strategy. But we would talk about strategy for the 400 because it was
Yeah.
the first 100 meters. You go out as fast as possible, right? So you start quick, get you to your top speed as soon as you can. The back stretch is the longest part of the quarters or of the each 100, and so you just stride. You try to maintain
Hmm.
speed, but you're not going quick. So you go super fast first corner, stride out last corner, and just maintain um, through the next backstretch into 50 meters of the second corner, and then the last 150 you hang on for dear life.
Hmm.
and try not to slow down as best as you
Right.
can.
And then you still have a little bit of, and that did make, because you stride out, then you had a little bit of a kick for the 150,
Yep, there's a little bit
and
of a
you
push.
could accelerate through the exit of the corner
Yep.
and all of that. But yeah, but that's assuming people that have like actual speed
Yeah. Right.
and can do that.
It's a little
And like I always
different.
had to change my strategies. Like I can run a long ways and I can run pretty hard,
Yeah.
but there's no speed coming out here at any point. That's that. Yeah, really. Yeah, what a 15-second 100 meter is about. That's the fastest I'm going.
Yeah.
You know.
Man,
So
it's so frustrating getting older and feeling and still having the glimpses of feeling fast
yeah.
because I mentioned this type of concept before that you have the times that I used to go in high school and I wasn't a fast sprinter. I was competitive, but I wasn't like crazy fast. And I still think in my head every now and then, like, I think I can do that. I think I can get that speed at 38 years old. Like, I
Right.
think I can run an 11-second 100 meters. I think I can break 11 seconds in 100 meters. I no.
Yeah, I
I
don't
I
think
can't. If I trained for a year hard, maybe. But like
it'd be
that's like
interesting with
super
what people
intensive
are
training.
accomplishing these days going into their 40s. And so
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see. But if everything I see is that we gain power as we get
hmm
older still.
Yep.
We lose speed and
Yep.
we gain endurance.
Yep.
And so it might even fit into just like the natural mental cycle too, right? Where when you're young, you can be aggressive and a little bit, you can just kind of fly by the seat of your pants a little bit more and
hmm
everything happens quick and speed. And then as you gain wisdom, that is similar to gaining more power and endurance and stuff like that as you get better and better at that as you get older too. Is that
Yeah.
a little bit of a, the aggressiveness, kind of like, I don't know if you experience this, but like I can't listen to any music I used to listen to. Because
Oh,
it's all
interesting.
just way too aggressive. I'm like, geez, none of that. I can't even relate to this. This is just obnoxious and annoying. Like, no, just settle down.
Yeah.
Live your life.
That might be
You're all worked up.
a difference of style that we listen to at those early ages. I listened to the stuff I listened to in high school constantly. Not,
Sure.
I mean, not like every single day, but like, oh yeah, I'll go back to that stuff like quite a bit. And it's just,
Okay.
it's fun. I still enjoy it. Like I have current music I listen to too, but like I still enjoy that stuff. But I
Yeah.
didn't listen to aggressive stuff
Sure.
very much. So
Yeah.
it
So
could be just,
you throw on some like Limp Bizkit or something. You're like, this
yeah.
is just so obnoxious. Like, dude, grow up, get over it. You're fine. You know? And back in the day was like, oh yeah, this is speaking to my soul.
But although that is a good difference between you and me though, because I don't listen to lyrics at all.
Sure.
So I've never known what anybody was saying about anything.
Even the feel of it. Lucas and I were talking today of like, good people screaming. So I'm like, real honestly, anyone screaming on music is just kind of, yeah, you get over yourself, come on.
Yeah, I think we kind of disagree on that one. It
And I
depends.
totally enjoyed that music back then. It's like
Yeah,
I have a nostalgic appreciation for it, but man, these days
yeah.
like it annoys me so much now. That's probably
That's
where my
really
age shows the most.
that's really funny. Yeah, I mean that very well could be that it's kind of an emotional shift too, in addition. But yeah, I still get that delusion every now and then of I
Yeah.
think I can go and do that, right? Which is probably just me not accepting my age yet, or
hmm
it means that I need to try.
yeah, and I have a lot of sympathy for that because there are other areas of my life where it's like, no, I'm not letting go of that yet.
Like
Still gonna try and do this.
what
Like,
if
and
I just did go train real hard? How
yeah.
fast could I get?
Well, I know the pole vaulting thing pops in your head every now and then too.
Yeah, that one I'm done with the competitive part of that idea, which I definitely was playing
hmm
with for a while. But if it's really weird to feel that I do want to go and just do it for fun again.
Yeah.
Like I
It's
wish.
too bad there are so many of those sports that you can't do for fun as an adult. I feel like that all the time. There are a bunch of things that I would love to do still
Hmm.
that I really enjoyed. And, could I do this? Why can't I do this on a recreational level? Like every other
Yeah,
sport we do, we can do on a recreational level. We don't have to be competitive.
yeah.
And things like pole vaulting. That's a bummer. You can't just go pole vault for fun.
Yeah, you can. It's just real hard. You got to find like there are clubs around the state that do it. Like there's a club here down in Renton that I've been to a couple times,
hmm
but it's a club for like off-season high school and college kids, right? It's the same type of thing I did in high school. It's
Sure.
out of season club that I did one in Spokane. So it's like you either have that route or you coach, so you have access to the stuff.
Right. Then you
Which
can still go play.
I legitimately was thinking about for a while. I'm like, okay, what high school needs a pole vault coach? Just because I want to
Yeah.
do it. I don't have any stuff. I don't have any poles or mats. Like I could just.
Right.
I looked into the local high school over in Ballard. I'm like, do they need a pole vault coach? I'm like, they got
hmm
one listed. I bet they're not looking for one right now.
So this is my theory as to why I think some of those more alternative sports are things that um, you don't have to let go of it. So it
Hmm.
can be such a healthy thing for people. Skiing and snowboarding, of course, it's an
Hmm.
accepted a sport that's really on the extreme end of sports, right? It's actually has a lot of danger involved. And it's kind of almost hilarious to me how large the population accepts going and doing this thing that's really dangerous, actually.
Yeah.
Um, and but we get to do that as we get older, and it's just accepted, and there's room for it, and you can just go do that, and we can go skateboard anytime we want, and that doesn't have to go away. And
Yeah.
but there's other things like, man, would I get the thought I've almost joined doing jujitsu just so I can wrestle again.
Yeah.
And
I get
because
that.
I miss wrestling, like I love being in that shape of training for that kind of thing was so much fun. And I didn't like the competitive aspect of it too much, but I really enjoyed wrestling.
Hmm.
And then like, okay, well, there isn't an adult version of that. So I have to learn a different skill that's similar to it to do it as an
Yeah.
adult. But it gets tempting every now and then.
Right. Right. Totally. It's not, and jujitsu especially seems from the outside seems like something where because it's such a skill focused endeavor that it's very accepting and like everyone's just like
hmm
they're just trying to be better at the skill and learn better skills, and kind of like skateboarding where it's like we're all at our own level and we're just trying to do what we do, right?
Right. And it does seem like a pretty accepting environment too. And so who knows? One of these days I might get into that. I don't have room for anything else in my life right now, but someday I might just go there.
Yeah. Okay, so off subject. I don't remember when we
Hmm.
were over there last weekend. I brought this up to Dad, but I don't remember if you were in the room. Regardless, it'll be interesting to talk about here. Maybe people will have feedback on it. One of the things I love about skateboarding is the varying terrain, right? The only discipline of skateboarding where the terrain doesn't change is like specifically vert. So half pipe,
Hmm.
vert, that doesn't change. It actually kind of can, but for the most part, it's the same thing. But I like that you could have a guy who's really good at his local park, nearly professional, right? Or maybe he's like sponsored by the local place and he like can do stuff that pros couldn't do or have a difficult time doing, but he can't skate anywhere else. He has got his
Yeah.
park locked in and that's it. And what separates him from a real professional skateboarder is they can roll up to anywhere and throw down some amazing stuff.
Right.
They can adapt to their environment. And it's like, okay, well, this is a janky quarter pipe and gap to this thing, but like, oh, I'm gonna do this really impressive trick over it anyway that no one's done
Yeah.
at this park before. And so that's what I like about skateboarding. And so I think, being not a traditional sports fan, they should take basketball and make the hoop height variable. So they should have a range. Let's say minimum 10 feet, maximum 12 feet. So not extreme ranges, but they should have a range, and it can't be adjusted. But every time they build a new stadium, that stadium sets that hoop height at whatever they set it at.
Because soccer does that.
Yeah. Soccer is
So not
different
all
fields.
professional soccer fields are the same size.
Exactly. And so,
Hmm.
but all the goals are the same size.
I believe so.
Yeah. So it would be like let's say Chicago Bulls, their hoop height is 10 feet 2 inches. And then you go
Yeah.
and play in New York and theirs is 10 feet exactly. And then other places like 11 feet, right? So like it's not a huge change, but just enough that you'd have these really good shooters that all of a sudden aren't very good. And then you'd have this whole generation of new kids that could just adapt to any height. And I think it would make the game so much more interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think basketball is one of those that I do find mind-numbing to watch.
Yeah, I don't care
And
at all.
so I think we need to add some stuff in there if they're gonna get us to watch it, which I don't know if they care,
No.
but
Well,
but maybe add in some slopes or something too, and like just yeah.
well, and that's actually what's kind of funny. I was talking to Brian about this idea, and he was saying that it's like we have the extreme. We have like the NBA, and then they keep on trying to do a weird extreme version of like the trampoline one or whatever that remember where they
Sure.
like do that periodically
Yeah.
where it's like
Yeah, I remember that.
trampoline basketball, but there's nothing in between. What about something that's just it's basically it's just a little bit different, and
Yeah.
then it'll make it more fun to watch, and then be like,
I'm even hoping that I'd probably watch it if is it I think Ice Cube's doing it. Didn't he start a new basketball league that's
yeah,
I think it's just 3-on-3 street ball or something like that.
it's something
It
like that. I remember
sounds
hearing
like
about that.
sounds like a totally different game, and it sounds like he's struggling with like the NBA's always trying to like not let it get out there.
Yeah.
But man, I listened to a interview with him, and it's like, oh, that sounds fun. Just
That's
a
right.
different feel to it and everything.
Mhm.
Like that could be really fun to watch.
Yeah. I also think with how tall basketball players are, they need to make everything bigger.
Right,
just
it's like
larger.
dunking's not that impressive when it's you only have jumped 3
Exactly.
inches to get there. It's
Exactly.
dunking's not impressive when I'm on a 7-foot hoop either.
No, it's
So
not.
that's not impressive when I'm doing. It's just more equal to
Anyway.
what's happening.
I don't,
But
I
we
don't
should
know.
probably try and fix basketball. We're not actually going to watch it no matter what they do because we don't watch sports anyway.
No, we won't. I don't care about the team
I
stuff.
barely even watch snowboarding.
Yeah, I saw like a little bit of the X Games. I kind of pulled up some clips, and it was boring because it's so ridiculous now. It's not
No,
even.
some of the stuff that's happening though that isn't winning is
Yeah.
really cool. So I saw some clips. You see a guy do a big air jump, did a stalled out 360 with a crail grab.
Wow.
So that's when you grab backhand on the nose
Yeah, right.
and spinning like a slow 360 super tweak, like it had so much style to it
That's
and
really
super
cool.
complicated. And of
Yeah.
course he didn't win because someone spun, 6.5 times around
Yeah.
instead. And they let them win or whatever. But the clips going around were like, no, that's cool,
Yeah, that's true. I have seen a couple of those clips that are really interesting. But like
There's some stuff happening.
I was watching like the half pipe finals for a minute, and I'm like, aside from the fact that everyone was falling for some reason, I just didn't. It's so hard to relate to, like
Totally.
back when we were in high school, when I was in high school at least, you'd watch guys win with like a 720, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I can do that maybe someday, but like now
Yeah.
it's like you're not doing it, whatever. Yeah, 4.5 times around.
Well, and then for a while we could watch the women's and be like, okay, at least that's still relatable.
Right.
And now that's not relatable
No.
either.
It's still more relatable. It's more within the realm of reality. But man, they're getting crazy good. So it's like,
it's still not anywhere in the vicinity of how I'll ever ride.
They're doing double corks and whatnot. It's wild.
Yep. Yeah.
Man.
Chloe Kim's run is, I think, it's the only half pipe I saw it. It was seriously impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we're the demographic they're looking for.
We don't watch anyway. They don't care what we have to say.
Don't care.
But let's talk to the NBA about this thing.
I think we can fix it. I think we can fix the NBA.
I think we could probably fix the NBA.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta wrap it up. What
I gotta get running.
Are we doing next? What run are we doing?
Let's see. I mean, I just got my normal pattern thing. I had an idea of something we should probably do. Then I forgot what it was.
Okay. Well, if anyone has a good idea, leave it in the comments or DM us or something.
Yeah, give us some ideas. We'll go do something.
We're bored. I'm excited to get back to just normal like lifting and cardio and stuff because I've been so focused on like my time constraint of my birthday challenge that now I'm like, I can just do normal exercises for a while. And
when the sun's starting to come out, like it's starting to get like, my energy level changed drastically like a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. All right. So for our listeners, either Kat or Nikki, let us know what we should do.
Exactly. Someone else was listening recently. That was good. All right, man. I will talk to you later.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, see ya.